Wonderful. We are ready to go. I am Shannon West. I am one of the Demonstrator Development Managers here in the United States. I work out of the Riverton office, and we have a couple of my teammates behind the scenes helping us out. So you may hear some voices or see some faces depending on what happens in our webinar. We're always learning new things. But for now, I'm going to introduce our two demonstrators that have joined us today. So let's start first with Dawn. Introduce yourself. Tell us where you are, why you're in a car.
Hi, my name is Dawn Bourgette. I am a Silver Elite demonstrator from Ludington, Michigan, which is a very tiny town. I'm in a vehicle because I'm on my way to a demonstrator event type thing in St. George, Utah. So I'm pulled over at a truck stop.
Yeah, we had well, I didn't communicate the time to Dawn that she'd be losing an hour on her drive. So we're like, oh, we better improvise. So this is where we are. But Dawn, go ahead and do show us where Ludington is on the Michigan map.
Can you hold this for a second?
Oh,
so I have an assistant. I'm holding up my laptop. So when you do the hand map, I'm at your pinky knuckle.
Okay.
So I'm right along the Lake Michigan shoreline with a population of about 10,000 people.
Okay. Anybody that I ever meet from Michigan wants to show me where their city is with the hand map. Yeah. And that is so endearing. So anyway, thank you. Okay. Next, I want to introduce Andrea. Andrea, tell us a little bit about you. Okay, go ahead, Andrea. You're cutting up a little bit, but it looks solid now. Yeah. Just introduce us and tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm Andrea Botten, and I live in McMinnville, Oregon, which is about an hour away from Portland. And I've been a demonstrator 15 years, and I'm Silver Elite.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are the purpose of our webinar today is to share with you all very simple ways to share Stampin' Up. And something that has kind of come up as we've been preparing for this webinar is sometimes we think of sharing as sharing the opportunity, but this webinar in particular is not about sharing the opportunity. It's just about simply sharing Stampin' Up. We want Stampin' Up to be easy for you to share with your friends, family, people that you don't know, anybody. And so both Andrea and Dawn will be sharing different ideas today. And so as you're listening to them, hopefully you are brainstorming or thinking of ways you can incorporate their experience and advice into your lives and business to make sharing Stampin' Up easier for you as you are learning and growing in your demonstratorship and in your life. So let's see. Oh, I want to point out something else, like down along the bottom, you can also see the Q&A button. So you've done a great job finding the chat. A+ on that one, you all. Now find the Q&A and click on that when you would like to ask a question. So as Dawn and Andrea are sharing, we invite you to go there and to write your questions in there. And then after each of them share, we will take a minute to address any questions that you might have. If you want any more specifics about what they're sharing, that's one thing you could ask, or just any sort of clarification or things that you want to know. And let's see, then at the end of the webinar, we will have a poll for you to fill out. And the purpose of that is to help us to know how we did on the webinar, what you learned, and how we can make these webinars better. We really want to create a valuable resource for you to use. And side note, if you want to watch this again, you can find these through Stampin' University in the webinar collection. This one will be saved under business, running my business. And this, we'll do a weekly update next week to remind you about it. But just, if you would like to get back and review some of the information, you can, as well as review information from some of the webinars we've been doing previously. You can find those in there as well. All right, let's see. Chat button I covered, Q&A button, poll. I think we've done all the housekeeping. Does that sound right? Okay, great. Well, let's jump in, and we're going to highlight Dawn and bring her forward. She's going to share with us first. Dawn, I asked Dawn to be part of the webinar today because I heard she was doing a free card, coffee and a card every week. And so I didn't really know much about what she was doing, but that sounded really neat, I think, to do a free card, keep it really simple, and just have sort of a gateway opportunity for new customers. So Dawn, please share with us a little bit about what it is that you do.
Okay, so I call it sip and stamp or coffee and a card. I kind of call it both. And what I've decided to do is I teamed up with the manager at our local Starbucks. And I originally did try my local coffee joint in town first, and they were not responsive. And I offered twice. So I thought, well, I'm not giving up. And we had a Starbucks in our area. It went out. Then during the pandemic, they were getting a Starbucks back in our area, and I'm a Starbucks fanatic. So I was all excited, as my husband as well. So he would continue to go there as it opened up. And of course, it was just a drive-through at the time because it's the pandemic was going on. Anyway, so we got to know the manager, which helps. Always just schmooze. And I decided that I kind of am an introvert most of the time, quite honestly, and I would rather crawl in a shell. But I wanted to do something, and I had an idea about doing this coffee and a card. I've seen other demonstrators do it. So I thought, why not? Let's try it. So I actually broke the ice with the manager because of something that my husband did for Christmas. He bought a full case of snowman cookies. And so he says, okay, I opened up the door. Now you have to walk through it. He's like, she's gotten to know me. Now she needs to get to know you. So I had this little self-talk. I went over to Starbucks. I had another self-talk before I got out of the car. So again, this isn't easy for me either. And I introduced myself as a snowman cookie girl. And I just said, I have this idea. I don't even know where to begin with it, but I know that some of my friends are doing this already. I would like to do something like coffee and a craft of some sort, like a card. And I got into talking with her as far as what I do. I took I call it my ammunition in my little bag, one of our catalogs, and explained what I do. And I gave her some cards, of course, because, you want to schmooze up a little bit, brownie points. And I just told her, I says, I would love to do something like this. And the key that helped me out, that you guys, if you decide you want to try this, is make sure that you tell them that you're wanting to give back to your community. That was the thing that I wanted to make sure that I said to her, that it wasn't just about me, it was about giving back. And then I was like, I have no idea how I want to do this, but we set a date. So I started thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle this once we do this? So she said it was a go. I do this actually once a month. And I looked on my calendar, I started it last July. So it's almost been a full year. Yeah, full year. So anyway, at first, what I was doing is I set the first date, we tried it. And of course, tell your friends, tell your team, have everybody come over to support you, because it's always easier to have people come and stamp at a table with the, if they don't know you, if they already see some people there, right? I mean, if you're sitting there by yourself, they're not as apt to go up to you, but anyway, like I said, I wasn't sure what to expect. And so I thought, what I should do, because I didn't really want to cut and prep and then, not know how many people. I decided to use our kits collection, because first of all, our kits are already pre-done for us. And also this way I could take a couple of kits, in case I had a lot of people, or if I didn't have enough, I could continue to use maybe that kit at another point. Some might say, well, those kits cost money, but I only give them one card to make. So they get a choice between like the 2 or the 3 cards that are in the kit, and they make one make and take. The manager has said, don't feel obligated that they have to buy something here, which is really nice, because I was telling her that I would help out with that, but a lot of them just go buy a coffee, they come over to the table and they stamp. And of course, some of our kids don't even have stamping. And I've tried those and they like those just as much as the easy stamping of our kids' collection. I've also used paper pumpkin. And when I first started to do this, I would book the next date with the manager. So it wasn't very consistent. Now you're going to hear that C word a few times, consistency. Okay. So in everything we do, it's always about consistency. So as I got about 3 months into it, I said to her, hey, I was looking on my calendar. I find that the first Tuesday of every month I have open, and I was doing them 12 to 2. So consistency between the date and the time. And she was all about that. So I went through my calendar. I made sure that I had, the first Friday of the month open all the way through the rest of the year. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and just ask her this summer if I can just continue on with this into next year, make it very, very consistent. Because what I've learned is that as I've scheduled these on a consistent basis of the first Friday of every month, 12 to 2, that more people are starting to come and they're looking forward to it. And I now even have the manager's mom and sister coming to stamp because they're kind of digging it. So it's just a lot of fun. I've even had a few men come over to my table and try it, which I thought was pretty cool. So people are, like I said, it's something fun. I don't overthink it. I use the kits. I do prep them with the pieces in the envelopes. So, when I pile them up per whatever cards are in the kit, so that way they can choose one and make it. And if I run out, then I run out of that. And this is what I have left. Everybody's good with it. It's just meant to be fun, a relaxed atmosphere, and easy, and a great way for me to use as a funnel to invite them to a class. Because now what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I work ahead, obviously, I do this as a business. So I'm working ahead, and I always have the next month's card class display, the 4 cards that I do in my card class, and a sign-up sheet. Now I don't really sell there. The manager's kind of hinted towards that, like, just don't, I told her I don't want to be a salesman there. What this is all about is just to introduce people to me, what I love to do, let them try it. And, from there, if they want to talk more about it, then I will open up, and I have everything in my bag with me. I have my arsenal. So I have catalogs. I have means of getting their address and email, so I can keep in touch with them if they prefer. But I don't push that on them. If they approach me with that part of it, then I have everything ready to give to them. But it's fun. It's a fun thing to do. I'm really enjoying it. And through the year, almost a year, I've attained a downline. And I've had some people who I haven't seen in a while coming back to class. I've had a few new people signing up to come to class. But, again, I've almost been doing this for a year. So it takes a little bit of time, but I love it. I enjoy it.
Awesome. Thank you for that description. We've got a lot of questions coming in, so there's a lot of excitement about what you are explaining. I want to ask you though, what was your initial motivation for wanting to do this? What were you hoping to accomplish?
I just wanted to meet some people. My husband and I owned a business for 32 years. We sold it 2 years ago. So I'm retired now from being an innkeeper. And I was so used to having interactions with a lot of people all the time and making use of those interactions and always talking about Stampin' Up. And now we're in this little tiny house where we don't have that traffic of the people back in and out and that type of thing. And I've just noticed that I need to branch myself out more. I have my customers, but some of them get busy and some of them didn't follow me through my move. So I'm consistently looking for new customers and reaching out to people to show them what I do.
Awesome.
So like I said, I hope that this is a funnel for me to gradually get them into coming to a class and work from there.
Yeah, I love that. So your gateway funnel there, you're going to get people experiencing stamping, and then you present other things of your business, like, other kits, other events to join your team. All of those things are presented.
Right. Because then from there you work towards, exactly.
That's great. I didn't mention this before, but as you all are adding your questions to the Q&A, there are, everybody can click on the Q&A and see the questions and then upvote. Is that the thumbs up? So find the thumbs up and upvote the items. And then as we're looking through the questions, we can see the ones that more of you want to have answered, and that will help us know. So Dawn, when you said you wanted to give back to the community, I think the phrase you used when I first talked to you was build community. I love both of those phrases.
Right.
For you, I think some are thinking that means you're giving some of whatever money you collect that day to some charity.
No. So what I mean by giving back to my community is by donating my time and making cards. I'm not actually charging for this. I do not charge. This is free of charge. This is why I use the kits, because the kits are very reasonably priced. And honestly, I don't have like 50 people coming, and I've been doing this for a year. So I'm going to tell you, so I would probably panic if I had 50 people. Of course, the manager was all excited saying, oh, I can't wait for this to grow. We could fill this whole place. And I'm thinking, well, that would cost quite a bit if I did that many make and takes every month. But, you know, on the other hand, I'm investing in my business is how I feel about it. So for the cost of a kit, it usually lasts. Give you an example. Right now, I usually get 8 to 10 people in a month, you know, during the 2-hour time period. Yeah. So, and like I said, I've almost been doing this for a year, but I'm also in a smaller community. So it just kind of depends, but I wouldn't overthink it. Maybe just take 2 different kits. If you run out of one, just have the other one that's already prepared with all the bits and pieces within the envelope. And then you're just ready to go. Like I said, don't overthink it. That's why I love the kits. The kits collection is amazing. And every month, the girls are excited to see what is going to be presented to them to make that month. And I don't tell them because I don't even know sometimes until a couple days before. So I really don't do a lot of work with it. The kids do the work.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Okay. And I'm not sure if you covered this while I was reading things, but so are you just kind of like at one table at Starbucks, and do you put up a sign in Starbucks or?
Yeah. So what I do, I have just a little sign that I did on Word. It's nothing fancy because I'm not very techie. So I just have this little teepee type sign thing that I've made with the foam board. And it just says, come come on over and stamp free craft. And they have a long table. So I set up the long table with the placemat things, the grid paper that we have, a couple of the wastebasket collapsibles. And I do supply all of the adhesives, but normally, as you know, if you've tried the kits, it doesn't take a whole lot anyway. And sometimes the kits have the dimensionals and the mini glue dots in them. So I'll also bring scissors and the Picket tools, because some of them think that that's a pretty clever tool that even if they come to stamp with me and some of my team members, they'll come over as well and do this each month. And I mean, they're experiencing, oh, I didn't know about this tool, you know, things like that. So anyway, because it just hands-on experience. And of course you have the blocks already included in the kit. So all that stuff is pretty much there. But yeah, I usually try to grab the long table that's there, and I have it set up for 4 people to stamp at a time. Okay. And if you follow me at all on Facebook in my group and on my page, which is Dawn's Creative Chalet, I do take pictures every single month because I want to show everybody the fun that they're missing. So
you're sharing that with your other customers. So that was my next question. Do you send out an email to your customers to say,
I do.
My Starbucks day is coming up, stop by and say hello or anything like that?
Yep. I have a flyer that I've made that I put up every month there. They have a little bulletin board between the doors that she lets me put that up on. Also, I have Constant Contact that I use for my newsletters. So I put up my newsletter every week. And then if I have one coming up, I will actually set up an email to remind them several times the week before, so that they make sure they put it on their calendar. Like, don't forget, you know, and even the day of, I'll send one early in the morning that says, again, don't forget, you know, Starbucks today, noon to 2.
Yeah, that's great. I think one of the most important things you said was that you tried your other coffee shop first, because I would have thought, and probably many listening would have thought, oh, the mom and pop shop is going to be the one that is going to be up for something like this. And so you
Right.
wouldn't think to go into a big chain and think that they would be excited about that. So, so two things, like it might be the place that you're not expecting. And the second thing is you can't give up after the first try because,
Right.
you know, it's like you're trying an all new thing and you've just got to find the right fit. So,
Yep, exactly. And I wasn't going to give up. And when I seen that Starbucks was coming in, since the mom and pop shop was not interested, I thought, well, I'm just going to give it a try. The worst they can say is no. So yeah, she was very willing. So again, if you are presenting this, just say, I want to get back to my community. I want to do something kind of fun and spend time with people in my community.
yeah.
And that's what really got her to be hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so then I'm wondering, like, there's got to be a lot of other places that demonstrators have had experience. So I am going to encourage everybody to put in the chat places that you have gone and held little events like this. And maybe even like, I don't know, any advice you have. And Dawn, have you heard of demonstrators holding things like that in other places? Like maybe we could just have a little.
I've heard of demonstrators doing things like wineries, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Or actually in like craft beer places.
Yeah. Double craft, right?
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I mean, you could really play on words with stuff, you know, just get creative, really.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've heard people setting up shop in a Panera, so
yes, I've heard that one too.
Yeah.
So like any yeah, places like that where the ladies go, right? Where they're kind of like hanging out and spending their time, their happy place maybe would be good spots. Another bit of advice is to look for or think of certain restaurants that have rooms, like extra rooms that you can reserve. Like I know there's some around my area here that you can reserve for like a bridal shower or a family party. So those are places that you could often reserve, and they don't often have charges for that. It's more just like, you know, they're expecting that whoever comes in is going to buy their food, and that's good enough. Okay, and then let's see. How do you handle it if people want to make more than one card?
I just say, I can't do that today, but if you'd like to make more, come to one of my classes.
That's almost like a perfect opportunity, right? Oh, you can make all the cards you want.
Great open door right there. If you want to do more, just come to one of my classes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you approach people that come in and buy coffee and maybe are like looking over, but not like introverts may not walk right up and ask if they can take part?
Okay, so one time I actually got the guts to do that as I'm sitting there because there was nobody there quite yet. And there was an older couple kind of looking, kind of wondering what the heck I was doing. So I said, hey, would you like to come over and make a card? And she goes, what are you selling? I said, I'm not selling anything today. So I wasn't lying, but yeah. I said, no, it's free. And she just kept like, she says, no, we have to, we're in a hurry. I said, I promise it'll take 5 minutes. I think this was one of the kits with the butterfly that has a no stamping. I forgot the name of it. But anyway, so what I did right before they left, because they were standing there for a while waiting for their drink, and the table that I use is right where you stand to pick up your drinks if you do mobile orders. So I handed them each, I had made, because this was around Easter, and I did the little belly band with the Easter bunny and the punch, that whole set. And I had little candies to give out as well. So for those that didn't want to stamp, I was handing out Reese's peanut butter cups that I made really cute. And she looked at me like, do I owe you anything? I'm like, no, just take it as free. Just have a good day. So
yeah, that's like, that surprises some people, right? There's always strings attached, you know, and so I bet it was nice for them to hear that. No, they haven't. Okay, 2 more questions. What did you say already? What else you have there? Like, are you selling other kits? Are you giving out catalogs or giving out a piece of paper to your future classes or anything like that?
So what I do, I have a sign up sheet for my classes. I've gotten a little bold with that now. I always carry catalogs. So I have them in a bag so that I don't have them like right out there. If someone seems interested enough, I'll say, well, I have a catalog. Would you like one? I don't leave them sitting out because I don't want it to look like I am trying to be a salesman at Starbucks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's a fine line there. And I want people to come on over and just have some fun, strike a conversation and have them try the craft. But I'm fully loaded in case they ask and they want more. Like, I have taken a few orders there, but it was a friend and she just wanted to place an order. Usually I try not to do that right there though. What I'm trying to do is get them to come to one of my classes.
And then you can just continue to build the relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, the last question is one that's kind of different, but one of the demonstrators watching is wanting to reach out to a nonprofit organization. And okay, so she says she's reaching out and ladies want to make cards. They're willing to pay, but they won't be keeping the cards. They'll be donating the cards. Do you have any advice for how to handle this? I don't know.
So they want to pay for the cards.
They're willing to pay for an experience, I think, but what if it, yeah, sorry, I don't have a very good way of explaining it, but any advice for like being part of the community, but not necessarily taking something with them?
Like not paying for it? I mean, I'm sorry.
Sorry, no. Okay, I'll read you. I have the opportunity to introduce Stampin' Up to a nonprofit organization, and the ladies want to make cards. They're willing to pay, but they won't be keeping the cards. They'll be donating them. How would you handle this? So
I would just say, explain that it's helping out whatever organization it is, and go from there, and just so that they don't expect to say, you're helping me out and blah, blah, blah organization out by you doing this.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking maybe even like keeping one card and donating the rest so they have something.
Yeah.
I think Claire, do you want to pop on and answer? You're sending me a message that you want to answer this. Is that what you're saying? Or you're just saying I should address it? I'm not sure. I'm new at this job here in the webinar. Claire.
No, I was just saying that this current question is being answered live as we speak.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Wonderful. We have more questions coming in, but I think we're out of time for now. And so thank you so much, everybody, for your questions. Really appreciate your interest in learning and trying new things. And Dawn, we really appreciate you sharing with us. Thank you for all of your awesome experience and being willing to do cartwheels to be part of the webinar today. And thank you to your travel mates there that are so patiently waiting for you to get finished.
No problem. Thank you so much, Shannon.
Thank you very much. And feel free to go on your way now and travel safe. And we will shift gears and move on to Andrea. So we'll bring her back up to the front so we can see her lovely face. Whoa. My face got really big when I was by myself. Yeah, I was like scaring myself. Welcome back, Andrea.
Thank you.
Well, we have a completely different example / experience to share with you. Andrea has been sharing in some different ways on Facebook. So at that, I'll just turn it over to Andrea and you can tell us what you've been doing and why you wanted to try this in the first place.
Okay. When Natalie first invited me to be a part of this, she asked me to share about something I did for my 15th Stampin' Up anniversary. And I just on a whim was trying to decide 15 things I could post. So I posted about 15 reasons that I love being a demonstrator. And I put it on my business Facebook page, and I kind of wish I would have tagged it every time or linked it to my personal page. I kind of just did a post on my personal page saying I was hitting that 15-year mark. And I had realized out of all my jobs, that was the longest job. Not really. I have a different job too, working for our business, but Stampin' Up is my fun job that I get to do. And so I posted on my personal page, I had done it for 15 years and then just tried to get some engagement by asking people what job they had held the longest, which was fun because it got some conversations going. And I'm always reminding my team members, don't just have your little business Facebook page or keep quiet on Facebook. Like, be sure people know what you do. If you're making cards and you consider yourself a hobby demo, it's okay for other people to know because they might reach out to you. and ask to make cards or, want to do something more with that. So I posted that on my personal page, and then on my business page, I just started posting, and I brainstormed 15 reasons, and they came very quickly. I was kind of surprised. 15 seemed like a big number, but it was everything from the discount, the travel opportunities, going to events, demonstrator friends, being able to share what I love with others, helping
So,
pay some bills.
15 reasons for being a demonstrator, or 15 reasons you were still a demonstrator? How did you
15 reasons that I love being a
love?
demonstrator.
Okay.
Perks of it. And I thought, maybe that would invite someone to join because they saw all the things. So when I started, I had my oldest was 1, and it was like, oh, gonna give this a try and see where it goes. So I kind of played off that in the beginning, saying that, I just gave it a go, and then it helped pay for some bills because I was a stay-at-home mom at the time. And then ended, of course, with being able to share with others and meet friends. And it was interesting because a couple of different places I went, I had people telling me they really enjoyed reading those. And I thought, oh, this might bore some people or, be too much. But secretary at my daughter's school said she was really loving it. And then a couple other people commented that it was fun to hear. So I think just make it known, whether it's a hobby or a business or a part-time thing, just be sure to get the word out there and not be shy about it. When people ask what you do for work, I usually say the business that we own and that I'm the bookkeeper. And then I say about my card classes too. Just, they asked what you're doing, and that's a big piece of my life and something fun. Or if people ask what you did over the weekend, throw out that you made some cards and invite them to join you if they seem interested.
And so you did one a day for 15 days, is that right?
Yeah, and I'm not someone who posts regularly on my Facebook page, or I don't blog. So it was kind of a lot. I found
Everyone's
myself
like,
at 11.
wow, she's really
Right?
engaged right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I, had people commenting or saying different things. Because when I think about the different people I know, a lot of them are connected somehow through Stampin' Up and meeting them that way. So it was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm thinking about many demonstrators watching have not been a demonstrator 15 years, and many have been a
Right.
demonstrator much longer. So there's a
Good
thousand
try.
different ways you could do this, right? You
Right.
could do,
Yeah.
so have you thought through any other angles you could take, and you could share those too? I'm thinking.
I think you could pick, 5 reasons that you enjoy making cards, or, just, pick a manageable number and just start. And I find if you commit to it and say, this is the start of 15, you're kind of on it, and that's going to become something, that you keep going, and you have to get to number 5. Or, pick for 5 weeks, mention your business somehow on your personal Facebook page or something. Because I think it doesn't need to be a quiet hobby that you just secretly do. Tell other people what you're doing,
It's a really cool, like handmade stuff is really cool right now. So yeah, you don't need to keep that quiet. People are really interested in what other people are passionate about. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, even if you post something that is about card making, ask what crafts they enjoy, because often your quilters are an easy transfer over. Shannon, I know you quilt. So here, let's make a paper quilt.
Yeah, actually, I thought of a quilting experience while you were talking. So I like what you said about it could be once a week. You could decide to do for a full year. You're going to just share on the first day of every month. So 12 things throughout the year. There's just all different ways that you could improvise. So those of you listening, pick something that works for you, or tailor it for whatever works best for you. There is this thing in the quilting world. So my next question was going to be, what are other options other than Facebook, or how to take this to other platforms? There's this thing called the Instagram Quilt Fest. And then I can't remember what month it's one of the months of the year, and all the quilters post every single day in that month. and there's different prompts. So, I mean, somebody could create that and share it, and we could all do it, or you could just create your own prompt, right? And so day one is your name or whatever, whatever you want to decide, and then just say, today is, my fun fact that I'm sharing about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator or whatever. So that's one example that I've seen on Instagram. And have you seen other examples, or how you could take it to other platforms or other spaces?
Well, I was thinking you can even do it with just mailing cards, because that's the other way to get simply share, is to mail someone a card.
The
I know.
simplest way to share.
Yeah. You just, mail a card, and some people are like, that's so pretty, and they turn it over and see your name on it, and, let them know you hold classes if they're interested. Or I usually write on a Post-it note, and they tear it out or pull it out and send it on again. So, just pushing out the cards and what you do.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah,
helps.
that's great. So, so social media, I think you could take what Andrea is saying and apply it to any place in social media. If you do blog, you can add a picture, find a picture to go with each one. I think that always catches attention. But yeah, if you're not doing social media, you could still do it through email, like 1 email a day. I think a lot of times I find people in the Stampin' Up! World get nervous about sending too many emails. But honestly, like the companies that I love, Stampin' Up's one of them, but the companies that I love, I never receive an email and think to myself like, oh, they're emailing me again. No, I am thrilled. Every single email, I may not open them all depending on what's going on in my life at the time. But, so if you were going to do an email every day for 2 weeks or something like that, that could be very effective. So, okay. The question is coming in about how you were doing it exactly. So you mentioned putting it on your business page, and then you tagged yourself one day, but what, can you give a little more clarification on that?
Yeah, so I started it really just on my business page, and I wish I would have shared it every time with my
Your
personal
timeline.
page. Yeah, because my personal page one was a different one, just announcing I had hit my anniversary, and a little bit of reflection on it. So I wish I would have tagged it, or at least pushed people back over to my business page.
So how would you have done that if you, and I don't know how that works, if you're like
No,
on
I
your
don't
business
think-
page and you tag if you put your
I
own
don't know
name in there, then
yeah.
it shows up the same?
I feel like you used to be able to, but I don't know if you can tag yourself anymore. But you could just click share after you posted and just share it to your personal page.
True. And so your purpose in that would just be with every single post to keep pushing people over to your business page and having more people
Yeah, and just getting the word out so people know that it's something you enjoy doing, and if you're holding events.
Yeah, that's great.
Inviting them.
I think a mistake I make, and I wonder if many of us make, are assuming that everybody that is our friend or has liked our page or whatever sees everything we post. But I think it's actually a very small percentage that sees it, which is why it's great to post often, because not everybody sees every single thing, and maybe people don't, it depends on so many things. It depends on how many things that they've liked and how many friends they have, to how much they scroll to see what's in their newsfeed. So yeah, all of those things are coming into play. So keep that in mind when you're deciding the right amount to post that type of
and also if you say, like, every time I started with the same beginning, that it was my 15 reasons I love being a demonstrator, and then you number them, if they see number 7, they might go look for the other ones. So if they're interested.
Okay, I've got a question for you now. Tell us about how you connected with your chocolate shop in town.
Oh, is that Natalie?
Yeah, Natalie's typing up a question for me.
She loves that story. No, it's fine. We have a business in town. They started a couple years ago, and it's a chocolate shop where they actually take the cocoa bean, or the cacao bean, and they get the little nibs out of it, and they go through the whole process to make chocolate. It's a very cute shop. So right after I visited them for the first time, I was thinking we had that Nothing's Better Than chocolate stamp set. And I already had a card made up with it. And I thought, oh, I should just welcome them to McMinnville. They moved here from California. and I had visited with the husband on my first visit. So I just wrote a card to them and then I went back and dropped it off, just thinking I would just wanted to welcome them, the community. And then the wife reached out to me and said, oh, I've been looking to have cards in our shop offered. Do you sell your cards? So then that started that piece. And then next thing you know, we were holding classes there. So she asked me to come offer classes in the shop.
Holding classes at a chocolate shop?
Yes.
That is the ultimate. Yes.
So fun. Anyway, so out of that, really, I got the selling cards, holding a free place to hold classes, and also a good friend, because the owner's wife and I have really connected and over that, because she enjoys crafting too. So, and then some of the people that have gone to the chocolate shop classes now come into my other classes. So I say just keep giving cards to everybody and anybody, and if it's not for them, that's okay.
Yeah.
But, you never know
You never
what
know.
might become of it that, right away or down the road.
How much do you sell your cards for at this shop?
I think she pays me about $250 and just flat out. And then I haven't really looked at what she puts on them. But yeah, sometimes she's like, Valentine's Day's in 2 days, we're out of cards. Can you leave some on your porch for me? And I'll pick them up and take them to the shop. And so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. I have seen some things lately, like with Venmo. It's so easy to, and I don't know if that exists in every country, but with Venmo, people are putting things out for sale and just selling them kind of on your honor. So I wonder if there are opportunities within different shops to just say, I'll set my cards here, people can buy them, they just pay this way. And then the shop doesn't actually have to like ring them up, and so it's just a different thing that, like a point of purchase type opportunity that adds color and happiness to the shop, but they don't have any work to do, I guess,
Right. Well, thanks to the idea, we own a business and my husband's like, we don't have room to put cards up, but I'll find a little spot.
Yeah.
A little Venmo sign.
Yeah, that's awesome. How much do you charge for your card classes at the chocolate shop?
It kind of varies. One time we did Valentine's Day and I did packaging and other things. I don't remember the price. I don't like to charge a lot for classes because I don't want it to be a barrier for people. So let's see, I would say I usually shoot for like $10, $15 and then it's been different. Sometimes we include hot chocolate with the class, and so I'm giving her some of the money, and sometimes we just hold the class. So I'd say, 10 to 15, and it's probably 3 projects. And if it's 15, it's including chocolate and other stuff. So.
Okay, cool. So just like a true make some cards class, not a product, you're getting any product.
Right, yeah.
And then, yeah, cool.
And you have to think about spacing too, right? Because it's not a huge shop. So if you only do one project and a ton of people come, they're sharing the supplies and there's not enough space.
And you have to have you have to have a lot more of every stamp set or
yes. Yeah. So
yeah, interesting. Yeah. Okay. This question has gotten a lot of upvotes, but people are wondering about a business page and they said a personal page. Okay, I think I misunderstood the question. So, but then later somebody asked about having a business page versus a group and how and your DBWS and how to juggle all of those. So what is your reason and goal with your business page? And do you also have a Facebook business group?
Right. I haven't started a group. I just have the business page with working part-time plus Stampin' Up and being a mom. Trying to not throw too many things on my plate. But the business page is just open for, anybody to access and look at. A group is a great idea, and I would love to someday do it where people are getting more information about that, and it's kind of a more private thing.
Yeah, it's behind, they have to join to be part of it. Typically, it's more trying to create a community where they can comment and that type of stuff. And your business page is like a billboard, sort of like you
Yes.
said, if everyone can see it. So I do think it's a challenge though to know how many of these things to get involved in. And so do you have any advice for that? Like as far as well, you don't blog, why have you chosen not to blog and maybe explain that a little? Time.
Yeah, time. Just being realistic. I don't really want to take on another big thing and not be able to put the time into it. So, you know, definitely a goal and something I ponder, but yeah, I think, I mean, just take the next step. Whatever you're doing now that you're probably comfortable with, I just would say take the next step, like make a Facebook business page or, you know, get on Instagram or maybe start blogging and give it a go. So.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Pick one thing and be consistent with that. And then after you try it for a little while, you learn some stuff. And then you can decide if you want to add another thing on to that. How do you handle your DBWS? Do you spend much time like updating that or working with that?
No, that I should be putting events and more things on there, but yeah, because I know there's a lot you can do with that. And
yeah,
so
no problem. Just thought I'd ask. Okay, let's see. Let me see. Do you let's see. Do you do other classes other than at the chocolate shop?
well, yes, the chocolate shop has just been like a sporadic fill-in thing. Every month I have Stamp Club. I have an evening group and a morning group that comes to make 2 projects for free and turn in their order, which is $20 order. And then they take turns being hostess. I have found the evening classes dwindled and the morning class has improved. So thankfully I have a job that's flexible where I can do a morning class. So that's the other thing. I was only doing evening classes ever and then decided to try the morning. And kind of like Dawn was saying, her class at Starbucks is in the morning and she has a good turnout. So you just, you know, try different things. And then I have a Saturday Stamp a Stack I do every other month with 3 of my teammates. So we each plan 2 cards and it's helped them have a regular event for their customers to come to. And it helps me because each of them are planning 2 cards and then I plan 2 cards. So the guests are making 8 cards, but I've only had to plan 2 of them and we just divvy up the cost.
That's nice. Teamwork goes a long way.
Yeah, and it's inspired them and they're so happy and then we get time together too. So
yeah, that's true. That's fun. Do you have it back to next question is back to the business page. Do you have any advice for how to grow your business page and get more likes and followers?
I've actually had some people find me and I always want to ask them. That's what you can do too. Ask people how they found it. I think just continue to post cards that you make. I try to do a mix of cards I make and, you know, other like the DSP sale or the starter kit or those types of thing. And it also helps to just post personality, just stuff about yourself, post about your family. I have a cat that's always on my craft table with me and stuff. So sometimes people get cat pictures and, you know.
Yeah, animals seem to be the top content for interaction.
Because my teenagers don't want me posting their picture. So the cat doesn't seem to care.
Yeah, a lot of days you probably don't want to post their pictures either, right?
Right. Or, you know, ask questions for engagement to get people commenting. Post about your events. They can tag a friend that they want to come to the event with them. Yeah, just get people talking. And then whenever someone comments, I try to reply to them because that kind of bumps it up in Facebook and gets it viewed some more.
Yes, great point. Yeah, I think you can, when you are logged into Facebook, you can control if you are responding to things as you or as your business page.
Yeah.
So that might be another way is to leave
go between
in maybe your, I don't know, community, different Facebook places or other crafting spaces, leave comments as your business page, and then people can easily click and check you out and see if that's something that they want to follow. But then when they do click on you, you need to have something good there for them to look at so that they'll want to stick around.
Yeah, and not outdated, because if you click on a Facebook page and you go there and they haven't posted anything in a couple of years or
Yeah.
months, you're like, oh, she's not active and doing this. And
Yeah,
jump ahead,
absolutely.
so.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, well, I think we have covered it pretty darn well. Thank you so much, Andrea, for sharing with us, and good job sharing all of that. That takes some guts to do that, to put yourself out there like that, not just in the Facebook world, but in the real world too, as you're managing with all your friends and stuff. I think at this point with our webinar, we now will be putting up a poll, I believe. Are we at the right point?
We're gonna issue a challenge.
Oh yes, I forgot. We're going to issue a challenge. Let me get my script, you guys. I'll try to like stay on track here so that you actually have a good experience. So the challenge, here's the challenge. Everybody ready? Okay, get your pen and write this down, all right? In the next 2 weeks, we challenge you to do one thing, just one thing. It doesn't matter if it's big or small, you get to choose because you are the boss of you. But one thing that you want to do to simply share Stampin' Up! With other people. So I didn't read that in the exact words. I'll be quiet for a minute so you guys can read it. So I think you've had tons of ideas shared with you today. You could copy one of those, or you hopefully were sparked in some way with your own experience that you could add to it and do something. So we challenge you to tackle this. And I mean, 2 weeks is a long time. I kind of want to say like, do it tomorrow, but it might take a little longer than that. So here is the poll popped up on the screen now. And please take a minute to complete this and let us know how you enjoyed this webinar. And then I think that is pretty much it. We are so thankful that you joined us today, and I wasn't able to read all of your comments, but I saw a lot of your names and partial comments popping up. And I'm so thankful that I like in the chat right now, I can see it's over 100 comments, chats that have been left. So I appreciate your interacting with each other and problem solving and supporting each other and figuring things out. And of course, a special thank you to our two panelists, Andrea and Dawn, for being willing to share with all of your fellow demonstrators and inspire them to share simply. Thank you for Natalie and Claire behind the scenes for making all of this happen. And I don't know, did I forget anything, boss?
That's it. We'd love it if you fill out the poll. It helps us see what was helpful with this, what you would like to see from us in the future. We look at all this data. So if you take just a couple minutes and fill that out, that would be wonderful. So we're going to keep that going, but I'm going to stop the recording.
We've got 100% of people that have completed the poll. Is that right? The first question anyway. Good job, you guys. Keep it coming.